We have a really good shot at going to Worlds. We just have to keep performing on the level we are.
We're on our way up, I think, so that's good.
Definitely need to pick up a lot of wins if we want to stay out of relegations.
The focus is really on to keep going and to keep rolling. There are a few weeks left, so every game is gonna matter a lot.
We have to be much more consistent as a team. We just have to practice harder.
If we improve, we can fight for the Worlds.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Week 8 of the European LCS, coming to you live from Cologne, Germany. I'm Evie Schokzeploortere here with Lee D-Man-Smith and Trevor Quickshot Henry. And guys, we have a lot to talk about, so let's delve right into it. Starting with Fnatic, 5-0 right now, and again, a fantastic win versus Super Hot Crew yesterday. It seems like they've hit their peak at the exact right moment.
Absolutely. The 4.10 and 4.11 patch seems to be working wonders for Fnatic. You know, even speaking to the teams and the players, so as said himself when you interviewed him yesterday, we feel we're at our peak right now. And even the players, the teams, basically saying in scrims, they are pretty much the best team in Europe right now, and it seems to be showing 5 wins in a row.
Yeah, very impressive. On the other hand, also at the top of the table, we're slightly faltering SK and Alliance. Trevor, is that a rough patch or a rough streak for those teams?
I think it's both. I think for Alliance in particular, since 4.10, the patch hasn't necessarily been favorable to them. They've lost 3 games in a row since the end of Super Week. But I also just think as a team, they're not necessarily making the smartest of decisions. They're struggling against any of the opponents they're playing against. For me, the biggest story, though, is SK Gaming. For 3 weeks back-to-back, they picked up win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. And we're not seeing the ability to dig deep. We're not seeing the ability to stall games out from mid to late. And if SK don't change things, they're going to topple further down the table.
Yeah, they are struggling. And another team that's struggling is Gambit Gaming. And Lee, well, the 2 members that have come in there since yesterday, Lulux and Kubon, actually did pretty well. And it was the old school players that seem to be struggling just a bit.
Yeah, down that bottom lane, Genja and Edward were having a torrid time yesterday. They're the old guard, but it just didn't work out well for them. Whereas the new guys, as you mentioned, in the top lane, Kubon and Lolex combined got themselves the first kill for Gambit, and it was a fantastic, well-worked play. But unfortunately, as that bottom lane had lost, they were so far behind they could do nothing.
Just very quickly, I want to throw some food for thought in there. We heard that Genja is not really talking in terms of the team communication. We believe that Gambit is now speaking English as their main language. So with that in mind, part of the reason that maybe Genja and Edward may have been struggling is that lack of communication, that lack of speaking ability that can come with the rest of the team. We need to see more games from them, but they definitely have to get their heads into the game because level 1, level 2, you can't just blind face check people and think you can get away with it.
Yeah, we'll see what they do today, of course. And another big trend coming in is Gragas. He was picked 3 games out of 4 and 2 wins on the board yesterday.
Yes, Soaz definitely played the best. He absolutely dominated in the top lane with that Gragas against the Dr. Mundo. Showed how it was meant to be played. It's finally picked up in Europe, where other regions have been playing. But I also think the mid lane is also very interesting. A lot of bans being focused for there, and we're seeing Fizz and Syndra coming into popularity for all of the European mids. So definitely going to have to look at both Gragas and the mid lane picks for today's games.
Yeah, and you could say, I mean, you talk about Soaz, Fnatic, maybe everything's combining that Soaz is suddenly having a good time in that top lane. He said he's enjoying it now. This patch is suiting him, suddenly Fnatic are winning.
Absolutely very important. If Soaz is having fun, Fnatic generally does well. And of course, there were some crazy moments that got you tweeting yesterday, but there was only one hashtag LCS big play to rule them all. This one comes from the action-packed battle between Millennium and Alliance and features some great team synergy thanks to the trackball master. Comes from @BrunoMarvs. Holy moly, that curb flank at hashtag LCS big plays. This was your most talked about play.
Kurt will finally be getting in there, in fact, using his teleport, and he's going to try and come around the back of them. Can this work for Millennium? There's the knock-up from Kevin, and here comes Kurt from the backside. Nif going to go low. They want tab zone. They get the tabs as well. It's Creatine that takes down Nif, and that will be 4 for 2 in favor of Millennium, and they managed to hold on to that tower.
Such great play from Kerb, and it wasn't the only time he did it. He teleported in behind Alliance multiple times, and I just really like the timing from Millennium. They picked the fights when Alliance couldn't counter with their ultimates.
And it was a pleasure to see Creaton on Ezreal as well. Now remember to get on Twitter throughout the day and tell us your favorite plays by using that hashtag LCSBigPlays. And now let's take a quick look at the standings before we get into today's games. Despite their loss yesterday, Alliance remain in first place with 14 wins and 5 losses. The Fnatic are hot on their heels in second with a 5-game winning streak and closing in with 12 wins and 7 losses.
Yeah, for the first time in 5 weeks, SK are out of the top 2. They've now slid down to third with 11 wins and 8 losses. Millennium picked up that great win over Alliance to creep themselves equal now with the Super Hard crew, who themselves suffered a loss yesterday. They're now 10-9.
Yeah, the middle of the table is so tightly packed in Europe. ROC sitting in 6th place, but they are looking better with each and every victory secured. And at the bottom of the table is the Copenhagen Wolves and Gambit. They are battling for last place and potentially not being able to choose their opponents in the summer promotion tournament.
Yeah, now let's take a look at today's lineup. We have 4 matches coming your way, starting off with a bout between Alliance and ROCAT. After that, it'll be Gambit Gaming versus the Super Hot crew.
Yeah, that's going to be followed by the Copenhagen Wolves. They're taking on Millennium. We'll end that with an El Clasico match between Fnatic and SK Gaming.
And right after that, LCS match wraps up today. We'll send it over to Freak and Zyrene for the European Challenger Series quarterfinals, where the Ninjas in Pajamas with Alexic back in the mid lane will face off against the Unicorns of Love in a best of 3. Great name.
Fantastic name. Now, guys, for info on the teams, players, the schedule, fantasy, LCS, and more, check out lolesports.com. And while you're there, you can vote on who you think will win today's matches.
And for details about how to see the LCS live in our studios here in Cologne, click on the tickets link at the top of the page. There are only 3 weeks left in the summer split, so get them while you can.
And now we also want to hear from you guys. Head over to Twitter and tell us, who do you think is the most underrated European LCS pro this split and why?
Well, for me, I got to think towards the top lane, Kevin. He always gets overlooked, and yet this is his 4th season being involved in League of Legends. Always performed, always reliable in that top lane.
Yeah, definitely a great player. I personally think Nick from Gambit needs a little bit of love. He's definitely delivering. He's had some great performances. His champions have sort of fallen by the wayside, but he's definitely putting some points on the board. You guys at home, write to us at LOL Esports. Use that hashtag LCS, and we'll be reading some of our favorite responses on air later in the show.
Now it's time to send it over to Joe and the Fish Show to kick off our first LCS match of the day.
Thank you very much, Shocks. I'm Joe Miller here with the ever-astute Martin DeFicio Lunger. And for our first match of the day, it's Alliance versus ROCAT. Yesterday, Alliance were beaten in 50 minutes by Millennium, which was a result that shocked many, including the 80% of you guys that voted for Froggen's crew.
So Alliance, they were actually ahead in the game. They picked up all dragons except for 1 throughout the entire game. And at 27 minutes, they were ahead in gold, about 4,000. It looked good for them. And then we just saw the big play. They showed it earlier here. Curb, he teleported behind them, flanked them, and Alliance lost the team fight. And in general, in this game here, Alliance, they looked uncoordinated in the team fights, and we often saw some individual mistakes, which really cost them the game.
I also want to talk about Tabs here, because he's been really consistent in the summer split, but yesterday we saw him get caught out of position, making a little bit of daring moves, similar to what happened to him in the early spring split.
Very true. I mean, it was a bad game by Tabs. I mean, he picked up some kills, but team fight-wise, he made some very wrong decisions. He played Lucian, and we often saw him actually dash in the middle of the fight, get picked off by Millennium, just instantly killed, and he did nothing there on. And it's just a big issue. He could have stayed back. Nothing we normally see from Tabs. I don't think he's going to do it today. I think he's really going to step up the game. And I still think for Alliance as a team, it's healthy for them to lose some games now before the playoffs so they can fix these mistakes, come very strong into the playoffs.
So on the other side then, ROCAT also picked up a great victory, taking down another top-of-the-table team with that victory yesterday over SK Gaming.
And we had a few new picks actually from ROCAT. We have Sassos in the top lane with Gragas, and we had Overpower and Fizz. And they ran this double teleport, and then simply focused on split pushing until they were strong enough to either teamfight or just beat SK Gaming in these one-on-ones in the split push. And Overpower himself, he picked up a few early kills on Fizz, and once he got the Void Staff, he just destroyed Freddy on Yorick in these one-on-ones, and he gave full control to ROCAT on the map. They took it, and then from there on they started teamfighting as well and just destroyed SK Gaming. And ROCAT as a team, they actually look happy. They look more confident. So I expect them to keep playing really well, and if they can beat Alliance now, then they're definitely back.
Well, we're going to find out here shortly, but first we're going to check out the starting lineups on the blue side for this game. It's Alliance with Wicked in the top lane, Shook in the jungle, Froggen in the mid lane, Tabs the AD carry, and Nif the support.
And on the red side, we have Rocket with Sasus in the top lane, Jankos in the jungle, Overpower as the mid laner, Selvan AD carry, and of course Vander is the support.
So let's check in then and see how you guys predicted this match will play out. According to your votes, Alliance has the lead, but it's not a very Alliance-like number this year. 60% over Rocket.
Holy cow. There's a lot of people now believing in Rocket, and Alliance, I think for the last few weeks, it's been like 80% plus pretty much every single game unless they played Fnatic. And now 60-40 here. Definitely going in for a close game, and Alliance, they've lost quite some games in a row now. They need to step it up.
Yeah, really need to step things up if they want to hold on to that first position. It's funny, we heard in the start of the day in that intro video that they said, we just need to keep doing what we're doing, which is actually not maybe the case since they are losing a few games in a row now, but it's still not exactly a mountain of losses that they've got to their name. Let's move on to picks and bans though, and what are we expecting here today?
Well, we saw Overpower and Fizz yesterday do really well. I think Froggen can handle him one-on-one, so they might focus towards the junglers. Again, Lee Sin is the #1 pick for both Shook and Jankos, and we could see it being a high priority.
Well, let's have a look then. We are into bans and picks and see exactly who's going to go with what. Alliance, of course, on the blue side for this encounter, and will have their first choice to ban out here against Rocket.
So in this Super Week, Alliance banned Ziggs in every single game. Didn't ban it yesterday, however, and Rocket hasn't actually played it in a while, so I'm not sure if it's gonna be a ban they wanna look towards, but 2 junglers already, so they are definitely looking towards the junglers here, and could be a first pick Lee Sin unless Rocket bans it away, and I think Jankos knows already.
Yeah, Fizz taken away there finally, away from Overpower. We also saw Oriana, one of Froggen's specialities, farms up a storm with that one, and always is a danger later on. Of course, the red side casting ban as well. Don't really need to touch too much on that one with his 92% ban ratio.
Twisted Fate still open. Been a first pick for Froggen. A few times it's been open, but still, Lee Sin should be the #1 pick for them, seeing as they already banned 2 junglers away.
And we see Twisted Fate will in fact be the final ban here then for Rocket, which will leave Lee Sin available to be chosen. And will Alliance actually go for that one straight away? They've been hovering over a lot of different champions, but it will be Lee Sin that's picked up there for the man on your screen, Shook.
So the #1 jungler at the moment, because again, everything around him gets changed a little bit. You ban away 2 junglers, it's pretty obvious. Should mean a Lulu or Gragas in case Rocket wants one of those for the top lane. They're actually already logging the Gragas now. It's a good start for them, and they obviously knew it's going to be first pick Lee Sin, so we can now get 2 strong picks ourselves. Therefore, they ban away TF as well.
And taking Lucian, as you mentioned there, for Celiva. Champion which Tabs played yesterday, but we already talked about, had a few hairy moments, let's call them, in team fights where it went a little bit too aggressive, ended up costing them quite harshly throughout the course of that one. Alliance, though, locking in quickly with a Shyvana pick up here for Wicked.
So Shyvana's actually been a top laner, which in Europe at least, people stopped playing her for a few weeks. She's still very good, all around a strong pick. Normally she will do fine in her laning phase, she scales well into team fights, she can do multiple things, either build Blade or Rune King, focus on split pushing, or she can build full tank, go for team fights. I mean, there's so many options. You can flank around, you can engage fights. Overall, just a very, very strong top laner still. But we haven't seen her in a while. People have gone for Renekton, Jax, Kayle, Lulu of course now. Both Jax and Kayle been nerfed a little bit, so people look towards other champions. And really, it's a funny thing with Rocket here. Normally, they love to play Lulu, but ever since Overpower played it and everyone seemed to get the farm record against him in the mid lane, he kind of stopped playing.
Yeah, stop playing that one. And we did see Nami locked in there as well for Nif, who himself gone through a bit of a rocky period. I mean, at the start of this split, Nif was absolutely on fire. That's how it really goes for the entire Alliance team with that 2-2 Super Week that they weren't really expecting. The loss yesterday as well. We'll see what he brings to the table today with Nami as that support. What are Rocket going to go for? From Lucian, a lane which we've seen time and time again is a real pain to deal with.
So annoying and very hard for Nami as well to deal with, because if you get close to her, you will be able to land a stun or either force a flash, and then she's very squishy, she will die unless you land a perfect timed bubble. And if Rocket goes for Vi here, it's a pick we've seen from Jankos once before, and it didn't work for him at all. It was against Gambit in the Super Week, and the coordination from Rocket in the teamfights were horrible, to be honest, because Jankos would go in, the rest of the team would run away, and he just ended up dying by himself, and Rocket ended up actually winning the game in the very end, like 15 minutes into the game, because Gambit made a mistake, but still, it was a pick, which didn't actually work for them. We need to see if they can fix the coordination in this one.
Again, having to just touch on that again, moving to what I guess we can say the second tier of junglers really, with the two bands of Elise and Evelyn on Alliance's side and their first pick of Lee Sin. So will be Vi this time around for Jankos, and the Braum as well locked in there, so they'll have that annoyance of a bottom lane to deal with. Nami already locked in there, so Tab's going to be picking his AD carry for himself here by the looks of things, and we may even see Froggen coming in with Yasuo. Couple of knockups in this team already.
Oh, such a good comp for Yasuo here. I mean, you have Nami, double knockup, you have Shyvana with ult, you have Lee Sin with his kick. So many options for Froggen here to choose targets, and they can also roam around and play like a pick comp, where you have Lee Sin, finds the target, kicks them, Froggen joins in instantly. You can land again the bubble from Nami, so a lot of pick potential here from Alliance, and then you have Caitlyn, the safe AD carry, to provide some wave clear. So if they want to do this split push where they have Wicked in one lane on Shyvana to play the Ruined King, you have Froggen in a different lane, and then you have just Tab sitting in the mid lane with Caitlyn farming up to the late game, clear the wave over and over, and then Shook can just move around like he wants to and try and set up kills.
Let's see about this one as well. The Wind Wall could block a lot that Gragas has got to throw in there later on in the game. Got to be quick on the finger, but if someone can do it, probably would be Froggen in that mid lane. So let's see then what ROC are actually going to go for here. And they're actually going to be locking in the Aatrox, which will bring us to Gragas in the mid lane.
Okay, so I heard a little bit about Gragas mid, and you do build him AP, but not full AP. You'll need some tanky stats. I mean, Hourglass is a very good item. Abyssal Scepter is a good item on him. Rod of Age is still. You need some tankiness on this Gragas in the mid lane, also some AP, because again, you have to get in the middle of teamfights. You have to get into the face of people with your E, with your W, to actually deal your full amount of damage. So if you're too squishy, you'll just die instantly. So we might see some tanky AP Gragas in this mid lane, which could mean for Rocket going into the late game, they will lack damage, because Aatrox, he falls off when it comes to damage late game. Lucian is a good AD carry late, but it's going to be hard for him to be the only guy to actually kill people. So late game wise, I kind of fear for the damage on Rocket's side here, where of course Alliance, you have Yasuo, you have Caitlyn, two champions who scales well into late game, and you have the Shyvana to be the super tank as well.
And maybe Lucian not exactly safe when you've got those mobile champions over on the Alliance team. We'll be finding out here, but who you guys think came out ahead in Champion Select? Tweet at LOL Esports with hashtag AllWin or hashtag ROCWin, and we'll see if these lineups manage to change your mind somewhat. 60-40 was the vote from LOLesports.com in favor of Alliance, but definitely a lot less in terms of percentage of what we've been seeing you guys voting for when it comes to Alliance games in the past.
And from talking with Alliance just before the game here, one of their reasons behind them losing, according to themselves, is they didn't really adjust well enough to 4.10 and now 4.11. And they were looking what other teams were playing and tried to copy it instead of finding their own things. And it didn't work for them at all. And they didn't really know which tactic to use. This time here, with this comp, they have a different options. They can be pick comp, they can be split pushing. We need to see which one they decide to use.
Well, we're going to find out, because we're headed into game for our first matchup of the day as Alliance take on Rocket. We're going to see how this mid lane Gragas does against Froggen's Yasuo in the mid lane. We've seen Froggen bring in some terrifying Yasuo play to the mid lane in previous weeks. See if he can do it here again. And also a big question mark over Jankos, because he is the big playmaker in this Roccat team on a lot of occasions.
Yeah, and it will be hard for him on Vi, especially if he meets Shook early on, then Shook should be able to take him down. And normally you really want to get level 6 on Vi before you start ganking around. Opens up for a lot of time for Shook then to apply pressure early on, or go into the jungle of Rocket, try and find Jankos and kill him, and therefore delay his level 6. So a lot of options for Alliance here, and also some decent enough lanes. I mean, Aatrox is a very strong laner. There could be some issues for Wicked up in his top lane, but then Shook can come up and help him. And this mid lane matchup, I'm actually not sure who has the advantage. Normally, Gragas top lane at least is very strong against melee champions, because you want to get in and smack them in the head with your W. But Froggen can just dance around, and of course we have to say 4.11, Yasuo was slightly changed in the early game. His E only stacks up to 2 now, and only gives 50% bonus damage. So you can only dash forward one and then the second time, and therefore you already get the 50% bonus damage. You won't get more. You can still dash around all you want, but this doesn't give you anything extra. So it's a bit of a nerf to his early game, but late game wise it should do any difference.
And we are going to see standard lanes here with the 2v2 down in bottom. That's Caitlyn, Nami, versus Lucian Braum. And what are the important things to note in this lane? We said it before that Lucian Braum is always going to be a very hard lane to go up against, if nothing else other than Lucian's passive, which gives him the easier stun option.
Yeah, exactly. The fact you can just land auto attack and a Q from Braum, you get 2 stacks, and then you get the double tap from Lucian, and you already have your stun. Makes it very hard to play against. However, I normally don't like Braum too much against supports who can actually sustain, because his poke is just a Q back and forth here. Tap needs to be careful though, taking some damage early on. But we see the poke from Braum, it's just using the Q. It's pretty much only poke he has. Therefore, sustain from Nif should be able to keep both him and Taps very healthy.
Nif actually giving out a good bit of harassment there onto Vander and onto Celeber as well. So playing his bottom lane fairly aggressive, something that if we think back to the spring split, ROC did so well. Vander and Celeber was such an instrumental combo in how well they did in that spring split, as we see Froggen already getting the level advantage over Overpower in the early stages.
Just dashing back and forth here, landing the Q as well. Some more damage. Overpower will have to farm on the tower now and get his level 2, which is of course is a bit hard for him to pick up all the CS, and Froggen staying around to try and be annoying, because Jankos is still on his blue buff, so Froggen knows he has some time where he can stay up here without any wards until the junglers have done both buffs. Normally you say around 3 minutes and 15 seconds is where both buffs have been done by the junglers, and they can now start ganking.
Well, we can see that Shook is well on time for that 3:15, already doing his red buff up on the top side of the map. Yeah, Yankar's pretty fast himself, and we'll see at what point he decides to come out of the jungle. He may be called into action, because we're expecting that Shook is going to be putting pressure down in the early stages of the game, where Lee Sin really does excel, as we see already Froggen once again going aggressive onto Overpower, and Shook's going to come into the enemy jungle. Can he actually get in there for the raid? He can't, but he's going to have a good go at Jankos here. That's a lot of damage coming in. Jankos falling low, and now Overpower being hit on by Froggen as well. Overpower only got about a quarter of his health remaining, but not going all in.
We talked about this, how early on Shook can go into the jungle of Rocket, try and find Jankos and get him very low, force a flash, maybe even try and kill him, and therefore delay this whole level 6 from Vi. It's a very aggressive play. You see him again, he's just staying in the jungle, double buff and everything, very healthy. Jankos starting to go, so he needs to be careful.
Shook coming around once again. Q actually connecting, but Jankos has already vault breaking himself closer off to his own tower, and will be feeling more confident. However, he is going to be forced to recall there, and that's early advantage here for Shook, who's pretty much dominating that top side of Rockat's jungle now.
And you have to question the fact that Rocket didn't actually ban Lee Sin. Vander going in though, just poking back and forth here, but Rocket, they banned Twisted Fate instead of Lee Sin, even though they already knew there was 2 jungle bans from the side of Alliance, so they knew what the first pick was going to be from Alliance. Must mean they really respected Twisted Fate from Froggen here, because this matchup, Vi against Lee Sin, is not good for Vi, and we see it already here. Yang is forced to go back.
That's the problem that you have with these superstar mid laners like Froggen, that even though you respect 1, 2, or maybe 3 champions to ban away, as was the case here, he still has champions to bring out that can be terrifying if things get going, and currently he's holding a very healthy CS lead over his opposite number. This top lane been fairly quiet up until now. Wicked and Zaz's just had a bit of a trade, and CS fairly even there as well.
Just farming back and forth, both of them. Often in Europe at least we see Aatrox go Blade of the Ruined King as first item. Shyvana normally would go a Sunfire Cape as first and then go into some offensive item, unless Wicked wants to build full tank and try and focus on team fighting. But he does have the option to build Blade and be split pushing, and then you have Froggen doing the same thing in a different lane like we talked about in Champ Select. Let's see what he decides to build. But his mid lane definitely in favor of Froggen here early on. And doing well on Yasuo.
See that Overpower's started to reach forward a little bit from his own turret, missing the body slam there. Froggen just able to sidestep that one. Froggen definitely got the advantage. If you look at that CS, it is 13 the difference right now, as Froggen is going to be taking his first recall home. We already see that Overpower has double Doran's rings after being harassed out there earlier on. We'll see what Froggen comes back into lane with, a Zeal and Potion as well.
And on this bottom lane, both of them just farming away, slight advantage to Taps and Nif. Talk about how the sustain is very good against Vander here, because he can only poke with the Q or get him close and actually start hitting them with his melee attacks, but it's very, very hard to actually do. So both of them farming away fairly happy with him. Didn't see too much action. I mean, level 1 and then get back to farm.
Yeah, I think from Rockat's side, they have to come so close to get in on towards that Caitlyn and Nami every single time if they want to get that stun down, that they end up taking so much poke damage trying to get through it anyway.
Here they really just want to push the wave out because they only have one ward in the river. So if Shook actually comes in, they're so far off the lane. If a bubble lands from Nif, it's going to be hard to escape it and they might give up first blood. So it's a very risky situation for them to stay this far off the lane. They just want to get it into the tower so they can start either get it all the way in and then back away here. Make sure there's no chance of Nif coming in behind. Even though they have the ward in river, they're still going to seem so late.
See there, Tabs and Nif having no worries underneath the tower, and Wicked also picking himself up that Sunfire, oh not the Sunfire Cape yet, but the Giant Spell at least for this lane phase. More aggressive though from Zazas' side, that is for sure. It's Jankos and him and Shook. Actually, Wicked going to go very aggressive here onto Zazas. May just well pop that Bloodwell, and it looks like he possibly will. Gone so very low. Will Wicked flash here for the extra damage? He's not going to, but that's going to force Zazas out.
And there's no teleport on Zazas. He's staying for now because he has the passive. He's going to bait this one. Jankos is level 6. They want Wicked to go aggressive once again and then just dive right onto him.
Well, Zazas is going to come here through that Tribush. Will Wicked spot him out? Wicked surely will be sniffing that something is up with this one. Will he be thinking, okay, Zazas coming back in, going to rely on that sustain and his Bloodwell to stay alive. Wicked needs to be real careful for this one. There is a Vault Breaker not connecting, but the Assault and Battery does come in, knock up the slow as well as Wicked does flash, but they're going to follow him through, and there is first blood. It's Jankos that gets it for Rocket.
A very nice setup here. As soon as Jankos got level 6 from the red buff, he went instantly to the top lane. Zazas stayed. Wicked actually knew something was wrong here because Zazas came back in the lane so low, but didn't go for that Froggening Trap.
Oh, I think he might be going down here. The shield actually giving him that extra bit of protection that may have just saved his life there. And Overpower showing that, okay, he's behind by 10 CS in this lane, but he's certainly not scared of what Froggen can do to him, and Froggen's going to have to go back home here shortly, surely.
And this is the dangerous thing about Gragas. If you do get close to him and he can hit you with the W, he does a lot of upfront burst damage, and we just saw it here. He went straight in, used everything on Froggen, shot him back as well. Froggen didn't actually even use his flash. Both mid laners keeping the flash up, but we saw some very aggressive play from Overpower. Looking strong so far on the Gragas, even though he's slightly behind. Still, they have the issue late game. Unless he builds full AP, which is not very good on Gragas anymore, I'm not sure Rocket will have enough damage.
Well, one thing that certainly helps him is that he's against a attack damage champion in that mid lane, so Zhonya's will fit him anyway for the lane phase as well, and for how he's going to want to be diving into the middle of the team when it comes to actual team fights. Got double cloth armor here from the start, but look at Shook, he's having a sniff around by that Baron pit, and we'll just see Jankos there sticking a ward down. No sweeper lens on him yet. In fact, only the support has one for Alliance. Overpower has already picked up a swap in those trinkets as well, and there we see the Seeker's Arm Guard coming out, so he's going to be going up for that Zhonya's quickly.
We do see Selva down his bottom lane here, building towards Bladed Rune King on Lucian, so Rocket should definitely be looking for mid-game power. Once he completes it, gets the Ghost Blade as well, he will be very strong, stronger than Taps for some minutes at least, where Rocket can then group up and start moving around, set something up. Aatrox of course is going to be strong, Gragas as well. So we need to see Rocket around the mid-game points, maybe around the 20-minute mark, to really start forcing objectives, force Alliance into bad team fights, and then try and win the game from there.
So there, a lot of pressure, the bubble and everything coming down onto Vander, but Braum very tanky as Wicked actually going to dive in once again onto Zazas with his ultimate. Zazas losing about half of his health this time around, but with that Cutlass in there as well, he shouldn't be having too many problems of getting himself straight back up to full HP.
So Wicked actually just used the ulti, cleared the wave, and then went back to base, and now going to return it without using the teleport, so Dragon might be an option for Alliance here, but both top laners have the teleport. So unless they force it away from Zazas, it's going to be hard for him to just start the Dragon. Down his bottom lane here, both jumpers nearby. Shook is at the golems though, Yang is setting up for gang instead.
See Vander there just blocking out as well as he possibly can. We are going to be seeing Jankos coming into his lane, but Vander's already taken a lot of damage. Tab's actually flashing early. Here comes Shook, they're going to look to turn the around. Kick onto Selva, ace in the hole will land. It's Shook that actually gets the kill. Vander got away, but with hardly any health left. Meanwhile, Froggen here going a bit deep and tanking up a turret. Overpower's already used his ultimate, so he won't have enough damage to finish off the kill, but again, he'll get Froggen low.
So now Alliance moving towards the Dragon because Silver died. He did actually flash as soon as Shook came in because he knew he was going to be the target to get kicked back into the rest of Alliance. It just wasn't enough. He ended up dying for it. Sans is teleporting down here.
Oh, this could be dangerous. The Dragon half HP, they're going to focus Shook at the back, they're going to kill him as well. Jankos gets that one, but can they get any more? Can they secure this Dragon? He's going low. Will be finished off there by Jankos with the smite, and now they're going to go for Wicked. Actually, they found Tabs inside of the Tribush, and surely won't be able to escape. That's a brilliant bubble from Nif over the back. There's the barrel coming through from Overpower, and Wicked may even be in trouble as well. And Zazas finishes that one off. What a turnaround. Alliance start off the Dragon, ended up losing 3 kills, plus the Dragon itself.
So Sasus here teleported down before Wicked joined in. He was trapped at first, but he joined in first, and the rest of Rocket moved in. Froggen was very late to this fight here. Overpower moved to the mid lane. Notice your minimap. Froggen is running from the mid lane now, so Overpower is already in the fight. Jankos goes in. Shug already taking damage from the Dragon. He's an easy kill. Froggen doesn't even actually join for the fight. There's no knockup for him. He needs to back away. So very uncoordinated by Alliance. Some miscommunication as well. I mean, Wicked teleported so late. Froggen moved so late as well. And therefore Rocket, even with 4 members, take Dragon, get 2 kills in the end here as well. And also a kill on to... Was it Shug or Shug in the Dragon Pit?
And finisher there onto Wicked, and look at this Roccat not standing still. They're actually going to go for Froggen here. They've got Celeber and Overpower. There's the knockup though. Ulti comes out. Froggen, is he going to get the kill? He will, and flashes away. The kick from Shug comes in as well. Overpower's now going to struggle as he'll body slam out. One more Q needs to land here from Shug as Overpower goes straight through the minion line. And there is the Q landing. Oh, a flash from Overpower. Last second will keep him alive.
Oh, clutch stuff here. Froggen managed to survive, Overpower managed to survive, but Celeber did go down. They managed to pick up the mid tower, however, so worth it by Rocket, or for Rocket. They will lose the spot tower, so actually trading 1 for 1 now on a kill. Never mind, in favor of Alliance now.
4-2 in kills. Roccat still holding a 2,000 gold lead though, with that Dragon and the kill advantage. If you look down the farm here, just to compare that a little bit, top lane going well for Roccat. Mid lane still a little bit behind, 80 carry also 10 CS behind, but couple of kills there onto Jankos. We'll see what he can do with them, because he said it before, he's a big playmaker in this Roccat team. Already put down a lot of pressure onto those lanes, and really good kill there onto Tabs as well in the Tribush to lock him up with his ultimate. After all that had happened, still had his assault and battery.
Exactly, like his first few levels had some issues, but it is to be expected. But then from as soon as he hit level 6, first gank, there was a kill. Dragon as well picked up 2 kills, or 1 extra kill for himself. It's been looking very, very good, and Rocket been very good at moving around here and quickly grouping up again. They were the first team to arrive at the Dragon, while Alliance were very late for it. And we do see already now, Alliance will be doing the thing we talk about in Champs like they can do with Caitlyn, where you put her in mid lane, and she just farms now for the next 10-15 minutes, becomes very, very strong. Tabs needs to complete the Infinity Edge, she needs to complete a Static Shift or Phantom Dancer as well, before he can really start doing anything against someone like Celeber. And then you have Wicked in the different lane, and you have Froggen as well to try and split push. Gonna be hard though, because Rocket now pushing up to the tower.
Yeah, 3 men coming in from this one. Jankos there, they do actually have Chuck waiting in the Tribush there, but I think this tower may be on its way down. Minions being cleared out nicely. That top turret is going to be finished off by Zazas there. Seemingly too much for Wicked to handle, and Roccat get that top turret, the second one of their game, and they're going to get rid of this pink ward as well. Will deny the vision for Alliance, make them a little more uncomfortable about how well they can defend this bottom tower.
So a bit of a weird timing actually by Alliance to send Froggen down to this bottom lane because the bot tower was still alive. It simply meant Rocket could just keep their dual lane and of course Jankos and pressure into this tower. Get it very, very low now. Shug is here, Nip is here as well trying to defend it, and Taps in this mid lane. It's gonna be hard for him to do anything against Overpower other than just try and wave clear and then go towards the jungle camp.
And Overpower coming in for a sneaky little Wraith finish there at the end. And Jankos is still waiting for any pushback from Alliance on this bottom side of the map, but as that minion wave starts to come through, that turret should be in danger here. I'm not sure that Froggen can hold on to that one. He's got hardly any health remaining on it. Froggen here, you can see just backing straight away, especially as he sees Jankos coming as well. That's turret number 3 for Roccat.
Again, a bit weird is the whole thing. Why do you send Froggen bot so early when your tower is still alive? Yes, you lost your mid tower, but he was still doing fairly well against Overpower. Could try and trade back and forth with him, and with help from Shug, they could have been able to pick up a kill. Yet they just gave up the bot tower now. Top tower was already very low by Sasus himself, so lost all the outer turrets very early in the game.
Well, we have to question as well, at this point in the game, with those kind of moves from Alliance which seem to cost them a little bit. Is that really the slow patch adaptation that they've been talking about? For me, that would have cost them just as much 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, there's nothing about patch. Nothing about patch. I mean, the comp they're running is very good here in 4.11 as well. It was good a few weeks ago as well. There's nothing with the comp they're playing, the way they play the map as well. Would be the same deal. I mean, they had issues in the laning phase. If you look towards the top lane, where Sasus did really well and managed to take tower by himself, Froggen did outfarm Overpower, but his tower took a lot of damage, and Jankos jumped in to take it down, or Celevar jumped in to actually take it down. So they did have the same issues in the laning phase, which they could have had otherwise, even though Froggen did well on farm. Didn't have any pressure on Overpower in the very end. Bottom lane, they did take the tower, and then they just sent Froggen down, who can't do anything to defend it by himself. So
we got 20 seconds here until Dragon comes up, and ROC have already shown us that they're willing to fight around Dragon, which is something that the ROC team that was struggling earlier on in this split almost refused to do. They were very scared of getting their hands dirty and fighting around the Dragon. I think because they were scared of losing too early on in the game and falling too far behind. But we saw this from them yesterday and over the last week as well, and certainly here today when they feel they've got this advantage over Alliance, and they're going to be looking to start off this Dragon once again, possibly.
Notice the build from Overpower. He's building towards many different items at the moment. Not sure if he wants to complete a Rod of Ages, if he wants a Lich Bane, Iceborne Gauntlet, he wants an Hourglass. I mean, there's a lot of different items he's building towards, but he didn't actually complete any of them. And if he wants Rod of Ages, you want to get it as early as possible so it starts stacking up. But he's been delaying it a lot. He wanted the early armor, and then he wanted some cooldown reduction, then he wanted the Sheen to smack Froggen even harder in the head. And now also towards the Rod of Ages.
Zazus once again going on to Wicked. Blade of the Ruin King goes down. There's the ultimate now of Wicked. He's going to back away. Dragon started in the meantime here by ROC, and they're going to get this one. Nothing that Alliance can do. And that will be another Dragon here for ROC. And they're up to almost a 5,000 gold lead, 18.5 minutes into this game. Everything going so well for the Polish team.
So this one Alliance have to give up, especially again if you look at the AD carries. We talked about how Blade of the Ruin King and Brutalizer into Ghostblade makes Lucian very strong at his mid-game point, where Caitlyn just needs to farm up. I mean, Tap's been sitting in his mid lane for the last 5 minutes just trying to farm as much as possible, so he would have been a lot weaker in the fight. Froggen himself, he needs some more items on Yasuo before he can really start killing people in these team fights. He wants to complete the Blade as well to be even stronger in the split push. So Alliance just going to be happy sitting in their side lanes and putting Taps in the mid lane and try and farm up as much as possible. And then it's up to Rocket now to force the next objective. They already got the Dragon, they got the outer turrets. Are they going to group up 4 members and start pushing down mid lane? I don't know what exactly they want to do. Sasus in this top lane is beating Wicked one-on-one, so they can use this to apply some pressure and force multiple members from Alliance to go top and trying to defend against Sasus if he pushes all the way down.
We did see Alliance actually send Shook and Froggen down towards his bottom lane, see if they could catch Celevar out, but he's just frozen that wave halfway up his lane, and he's not going to be feeling in any kind of danger right now, trying to get a bit of farm back. He's fallen a decent amount behind Tabs, who, as you mentioned, has just gone between the mid lane and the Wolf camp pretty much constantly for these last 5, 6, 7 minutes. And now Alliance are all grouping up here. That middle turret may be the next target for them. There's a 4th man as Tabs coming back from that Wolf camp, and they need to try and get around to defend this one. But again, Gragas with that wave clear can keep them fairly safe, as Wicked is going to bully Zazus away. Someone actually is going to ultimate out of that one. They are going to completely surround Zazus. Can't see him getting away from this one. Got his Bloodwell though, which may help him out. There's the kick. Q going to land as well. Bloodwell is going to get popped, and there are 4 men right on top of Zazus. You don't get away from that, especially with the bubble, and Froggen will pick up the 3rd kill for Alliance.
But notice here, there's no minions from Alliance because the wave is pushed all the way down to their own tower, and Rocket now just pushing down his mid lane. They will be able to take it, even if teleport from Wicked, they can just ignore him.
Oh, they're going to be able to finish this one off. Wicked does come in there, but he's the only man defending for Alliance, and that is a nice move from Rocket. Alliance couldn't take the top tower. Yes, they got a kill onto Froggen, but they lose their inner middle turret,
at all.
Which may be enough now for Rocket to start warding completely on both sides of the Alliance jungle and really strangling them out.
They already started, placed at least 1 deep ward, can now go back, get some more wards. We see Sasus here for the pink ward and a green ward for his own top lane, and he can move into the big Wraith or the Wolf camp, place the ward or the blue buff, and then when the next one spawns, this one they won't be able to get, but the next one they can try and contest it. and try and strangle Alliance out of their own jungle, take everything away from them, and also delay Taps from farming, because he's been farming the wolves and the Wraiths. If you walk in, get some deep wards, and catch him farming these camps here, it's an easy kill.
Froggen once again will go right back down to the bottom, seemingly going back to that plan which pretty much cost him the outer turret in the bottom lane earlier on. He does have Shook there for a little bit of backup, just in case anyone goes aggressive onto him, and Shook has now come through onto that tribal chariot. Vander actually waiting around. Celeber going to come in. This may be a good bait actually for Alliance.
Shook is here.
Going to have a good go at them. There's a wind wall coming down. Ulti out of Vander. Overpower's going to come around the side. There's no one else there for Alliance. There's a barrel coming in, and Shook is going to go down. It's Overpower that gets that. TP came out as well from Xaxus in the top lane. They're not going to be able to catch on to Froggen, but again, Alliance thinking they've baited ROC into a fight where actually they've just baited themselves to a death.
They can take top tower. Taps already pushing it in here. A lot of members from Rocket moved to this bottom side to actually kill Shook, and now Alliance pushing onto this top tower. Rocket is coming. They want to fight.
Well, Jankos is going to go in there alone here from the start, try and hold on to it. Half HP still left on that tower, so they're actually going to keep a hold of that one. And look at this, moving in now to really push Alliance back out of the way. Assault and battery is available. Xaxus going to come from the side. They've caught out Nip, who's going to get stunned here in just a second, and that will be the kill. He was the sacrificial lamb there for Alliance, so the other two men could get back.
So actually thought the top tower was a lot lower, therefore thought Alliance could take it, but very good move by Rocket. Came up there, multiple members, stopped them from even hitting the tower, forced them away, picked up a kill. Now Celeber all alone down this bottom lane against Froggen. We'll just pick up some nice farm, and next time he goes back, should be able to complete his ghost blade.
Not sure that Froggen really wants to attack him underneath the tower there either. If he gets a perfect combo off, maybe actually running Elixir here as well is Froggen. That extra spike. I'm not sure how much that's going to give him. Up to 208 CS for him. Does have that Shiv, of course, from early. Going Blade of the Ruin King second.
And Alliance side here. A lot of physical damage with both Yasuo, with Caitlyn. And the damage from, or the magic damage from Shyvana late game won't be something that's Rocket really going to bother anything about. So they are stacking a lot of armor here early, which of course will be in favor of them when it comes to late game points. But Alliance can do the same thing, get some defensive items and make it very hard for Rocket to kill them. So we might get some very long, drawn-out team fights in the late game, because Rocket will stack a lot of armor, and because Alliance, or because Rocket with the comp itself, late game simply won't have a lot of damage, so they need a lot of time in the fights as well. So we have to see how it's gonna work in these fights here. Yasuo, of course, is one of the best champions against a lot of armor. We actually see him going towards Xaxus here.
Oh, his Bloodwell just came up there during that fight, and that will surely be popped here in just a second. Froggen chasing him down that mid lane. McGregor's coming in. Can he get the barrel off quick enough? There's the ace in the hole, and that was blocked by Overpower. And Xaxus, what looked like sure death with no passive, he comes back up and he's able to just saunter on out in safety.
The Hurricane from Froggen just missed him, and he walked away without his passive being popped. Rocket staying around here. Dragon is alive, but a lot of members from Alliance are going for Nif.
Oh, they're going to go straight towards Nif. They're coming out. Overpower gets that one. Wicked's in the middle of them, but he might be in danger as well. They've turned towards Shock. He will go down to Celeber. Now tapped on his own on the top side along with Wicked. Wicked gets stunned up. He's going to flash actually nicely into that raid camp, but he's taking a lot of damage, and Celeber follows through with a flash, the heal for the speed boost, and gets another kill.
Alliance shouldn't be teamfighting at this point here. Rocket are so strong in the mid game. I mean, Celeber, Blade of the Ruin King, Ghostblade, he destroys people. Jankos does a lot of damage as well. They're starting Baron now. You have early armor items. Because Rocket are so far ahead in gold, there's no way for Alliance to win a straight up team fight. So I have no idea why they even moved towards Rocket.
I mean, if we look there, you see two Randuins, Morel and Nomicon, gonna pretty much take Nif out of the equation in there as well. And that Baron, you see, going very, very quickly in favor of Rocket. And they are looking like a completely different team these last couple of weeks. Picking up wins left and right, having full control here over Alliance, who are now doing Dragon and maybe need to be careful. There is Jankos coming in, but it was actually Shook that got it. I got a bit overexcited for that one. Shook quick enough on the smite this time.
Yeah, smite from Jankos was used on Baron. Didn't have it for the Dragon here, and Alliance at least pick up the first Dragon of the game for them, get some gold. They're still just looking to farm up and go late game, because they don't stand a chance against Rocket at the moment. Every single member is just stronger in this mid game point. And now with Baron buff, Rocket can farm up these waves, push the side lanes, go back to base, shop, and then just start grouping up and move down. They might even be able to just dive straight onto Alliance.
Let's have a look down some items then. While ROC do in fact push out those side lanes. Ghostblade, Blade of the Ruin King on Celever, who picked up a great couple of kills in that last fight. We talked earlier about Overpower, who was building in about 3, 4, 5, 6 different directions. Went with the Rod of Aegis, then the Morellonomicon. He's now got a Sheen and that Seeker's Arm Guard, so we'll see what comes up next from his side of that. And we can see there the Dragon totals between these two teams. Way behind a ROC in the grand scheme, but this game they've had such great control.
They've done a very good job with their comp, and the very first Dragon, which actually should have gone to Alliance because they got a kill on Stellar in the bottom lane, ROC was simply just faster at moving and joining in, so they created their own number advantage, killed Shook, and then Alliance were just completely split up and had to run away. Now they cannot finally take this blue buff because they moved into the jungle of Alliance, placed all the wards they need, take away the buff, take away the camps, and just deny as much gold as possible from Alliance here.
Yeah, the start of the strangulation possibly here of Alliance, and we see here Jankos waiting over the wall. Didn't realize, I don't think, that Froggen was actually there at the side of him. Possibly even better for Froggen was that news, because there were 3 of them were there. Overpower was just off to the side, and we see Xaxus, he's pushing out this bottom lane as well. There's a bubble coming to Vander, but they can't really follow up with any damage on that. Overpower now joining the fight. We'll see if Alliance can hold on to this tower. They've sent Wicked down bottom. Both top laners now in the bottom lane have teleport as well if they need it.
So they can join in here, but it's Rocket being aggressive, pushing down the wave every single time. Mid lane, however, they need to go back in and push it out, and then go back to this mid lane. Xaxus down this bottom lane. We see him just ignore Wicked. Walks in, hits the tower a few times, backs away. Will be able to sustain on the minions or the jungle camps if he needs to. And he will just be able to get some damage on the tower every time he has a wave.
ROC still waiting it out with 4 men on the top side of the map, and Alliance have no chance other than to just sit here and note that they can push these waves out as quickly as possible and stop ROC from actually getting in. We see that bit of tanking going to be needed from Jankos. That's a big hit from Tabs, actually getting a big crit on towards Celever, which sent him packing a little bit. But Froggen now, if he shows himself somewhere else, that might be the chance to take that inner turret.
Yeah, or just go straight for the dive if they want to. I mean, Nif is an easy target. Tabs, of course, can net away, but still, there's so much damage in this mid-game point for Rocket. If they log onto a squishy target, they will be able to get a kill very fast.
So we have a slight pause coming out here. Actually was Overpower that initiated that one, so we'll see exactly what the problem seems to be on that front. But let's take a look then at where we are in this game. We see that ROC nicely ahead overall. 8,200 gold, 4-1 up in turrets, 9-3 up in kills. And those kills in very good place as well. 2 on the AD carry, 3 for Overpower in the mid lane. And I think it's a good time to talk about Overpower because we were wondering how strong this mid lane Gragas was going to be. We've been seeing top lane Gragas over and over and over again. But this mid lane Gragas has worked out nicely for Overpower.
So this is probably the first time I've seen Morellonomicon on mid lane, or on Gragas here in the newer patches, because normally, again, people will build some defensive items, where Morellonomicon obviously does not offer you anything defensive. So it's the first time I've seen it, but he's just playing, he's using the fact he was so strong. Even though he fell behind in CS to Froggen, he could actually duel him and kept going towards the kill. So he got very strong, kept building for a lot of AP just to be even stronger now in his mid-game points. Even though he doesn't scale as well as the old Gragas when it comes to his abilities, he can still be very strong now because he's built all this AP. But it will be risky for him late game, where he will be very squishy. And someone like Taps, we see him already in Vintage Static Shift. Once he completes a few more items, he will be able to take him down very fast.
Yeah, protection probably going to have to come out next time around with the Zhonya's or what have you for Overpower. Look at Celever as well, because he's got now that last Whisper finished off. Just a step ahead of Tabs, really, on finishing off those items, thanks to the gold lead that ROC have over Alliance.
And this game is the reason the European AD carries on Lucian likes to build Blade of the Ruin King and Ghostblade. If you look at the other regions, you actually often see just Infinity Edge every single time as first item, especially in Korea, they don't build this at all. But they like, the European AD carries, they like to go Blade of the Ruin King and just focus on this mid-game power spike you get. And it's a thing Rocket has been doing. I mean, as soon as it was completed, they just started looking for fights, looking for kills, looking for objectives, and they got them every time because they were so strong. And because Alliance, for some reason, walked straight into them, I was like, okay, we'll team fight you. Oh, never mind, we lost.
And it's funny because we looked at other teams before and we said they've got a fine team comp, but they're fighting at the wrong times. And it seems like Alliance have done almost that in this game, getting dragged in a couple of times there to that Dragon Pit. We'll see if they can actually change things around. They're on the back foot now, of course, with Rocket having Baron buff on and just being, quite frankly, so far ahead of things. They've set up that split push. Xaxus down in the bottom lane with Wicked trying to hold on to him. And you mentioned about Wicked, the fact that the Shyvanas here in Europe generally will go into that Sunfire Cape and then maybe off onto Blade of the Ruin King. This time around, full tank build though. Randuin's is his second item.
So normally when you talk with the top laners here, they will only go Blade of the Ruin King if they feel like they can do anything in a split push. Otherwise, they'll just build full tank and stay in farmer lane with teleport, then teleport in and flank around in a team fight and just be very, very tanky. The issue is, if you build full tank on Shyvana, you won't be able to hold someone like Aatrox, because he has Blade, so he will take you down very fast in the start with the 8% of your current health on hit with the Blade, and at the same time, every time the minion wave comes towards him, he'll just heal back up whatever damage he took before, and he can keep doing it again and again. So Wicked won't be able to hold him in these one-on-ones, and they have to send someone down to help him, otherwise they will lose a tower. And Alliance at the moment are just trying to buy time. Only issue for Rocket, while Gragas is good at sieging, he's still a melee champion, so he needs to move in and smack the tower. He can't do it because Alliance is standing there defending, so they only have Celavar to actually hit the tower.
So how do they hold on to this in the grand scheme of your Alliance? We talk always about wave clear and how your composition is able to hold on to turrets. And if you look down that Alliance team, the only real safe wave clear, I guess we can call it, is the Piltover Peacemaker out of Caitlyn. And then you look at Pacemaker, that's
a pretty cool.
Bad for your heart sometimes, or good for your heart in others, I suppose. But for Rocket, you know, the likes of these barrels that are going to be hurting means that it's hard for you to stick to a tower. If Celavar pops his Cullen, you can't stick onto that turret against an AD carry that's going up to 3-4 items.
And it's what Rocket is doing at the moment. They are standing 4 members up in the top side and just try and poke away into Alliance. If they manage to get some poke on someone like Taps and force him away from the tower, they can just move straight in and take it. I mean, they need 1 member from Alliance to back away. They can either dive or just brute force onto the tower, take it down, even though only Celavar is a ranged champion. They can still, as soon as there's not 4 members from Alliance to fight them on the tower, they should be able to take it. So they're basically waiting for Alliance to make their move, or for Rocket to land some good poke, force someone back. I mean, Nif, he's very squishy. If he moves too close to overpower, he's going to ult him back to his own team and just destroy him instantly and then move in for the tower. So Rocket definitely in the driving seat and pushing down 2 lanes. Mid lane, however, is going to actually be pushed up to them, which is an issue because they won't have any pressure then.
No pressure on that mid lane. Same time though, it only needs 1 person to go over there, although that person could end up being hunted by someone like Froggen, who will definitely be able to kill off the likes of Celavar, although that Ghostblade Blade of the Ruin King combo can often catch you out here, I think, as well, with that last Whisper added in. Let's talk about Rocket and, you know, a little bit more wider picture, because we noted before that Veggie, their coach, their analyst, has been back with this team. And it's not just a coincidence that Rocket have started really picking up their game, doing well and gaining some of that confidence back, because earlier on in the season we saw them after a victory shock start to overpower on stage, and it looked like they were on a 10-game losing streak the way that he was looking on that one. But this is the Rocket that are looking happier and I think feeling as confident as they did in the spring split.
So in the start of this split, Veggie apparently wasn't with the team. He was doing his own thing, not sure what he was doing, but he wasn't there for the first few weeks, and Rocket looked very, very bad. I mean, they lost a lot of games to talk about how they didn't perform. They were down as the bottom team in the standings, and we were also talking about what's going to happen with Rocket. I mean, they don't look like the team we saw last split. Some of the other players were talking about they had a good run last split. The patch really fit them. It doesn't fit them anymore, so they will no longer perform as well. Veggie came back. They always talk about how he helps them a lot. He provides a lot of insight to the game and helps them find tactics and strategies. So once he came back, it was pretty obvious. As a team, they started believing more and more. Yes, they had some long, drawn-out games. I especially remember the one in London, which was almost an hour long, which is it was the playstyle of Rocket for some weeks. Just say, win early game, and then just take every single dragon, every single baron, and just take it really easy, grind out the enemy team, get to late game, and win the game. This game, instead, though, because again they look better, they look more confident, they're playing aggressive. They have a mid-game comp, and they use it really well to apply a lot of pressure and get very far ahead.
Yeah, and that was, I think, those hour-long games where they would win, where they take longer than they probably should, and not look confident while doing it, was because of their frame of mind almost. Yeah, because confident. They were saying, we've got no confidence to win these games. We're so scared of messing things up when we've got a 5, 10, 15, 20,000 gold lead even with Baron on with half of the turrets on the map completely taken out, and our champion's so much stronger in terms of kills and items than everyone else, but definitely a different beast. And I suppose while we're on topics of different beasts, we have to talk about Alliance here a little bit as well, because as a team that had dominated the early stages of this split, let's say the first half of this split was all about Alliance, and SK as well, who also are having a bit of a tricky time. And why is that? I mean, I already asked you the question earlier on. This game, is it because they've been slow to adapt to the patches? Doesn't look like it to me.
So again, from talking with Alliance themselves, they don't really have a playstyle anymore. They're trying a lot of different things. They build comps who can do multiple things, but then they don't do any of them. And it's just weird to see them play, because in this game, the whole idea was obviously Froggen would split push, Wicked would split push, and Taz would sit in the mid lane. And they needed to buy time. They didn't. They went into fights, they went into dragon fights, and just team fights in general, and it wasn't the game plan for them. Once they did it, they just fell behind. So they're basically not playing to their own strength anymore, and they really need to go back and watch these games and rethink what should we have done different and how do we get back to the level we were before. Because they're not all of a sudden bad players. They're great players. They're still some of the best players in Europe and still one of the best teams in Europe. They just need to figure out what they're doing wrong at the moment.
Well, guys, you may have noticed we are back in game here with Alliance versus ROC. Looks like Overpower's issues were solved in this one, so we are back underway, and we'll see what ROC can do with it. They've got an 8,000 gold lead as we approach the 30-minute mark of this matchup. We can see that the Baron buff has now timed out on them, and as such, they've moved away from that split-pushing formation that they had, the 4 men up top, 1 man down bottom, and we'll wait things out. There's a Dragon up in 2 minutes. ROC only lost 1, I believe, and that was the last one while they were basically doing Baron.
So anyway. Definitely worth it for ROC. They didn't actually get any towers down with the Baron buff. Just kept farming, got some deep wards, which has now disappeared. And you see Alliance, some very good defensive wards. Instantly as they lost the Baron buff, they went into their own jungle, placed a lot of wards up so they could try and spot ROC moving around. And now ROC basically need to reset everything, group up once again, start moving down. If they feel confident, they can siege down the tower, go into the jungle once again, put some new wards, because they've all disappeared by now. And Sasa's just staying down this bottom lane here. Farming on against Wicked. Now actually Froggen, maybe he wants to look for a fight. There's a lot of armor on the side of Sasa's, but we have to remember, Yasuo with his 50% armor penetration when he uses his ulti is very good against armor.
Against 50% of that armor at least.
Against 50% of it. I mean, you probably still would wish they didn't have any armor,
exactly.
But he's one of the champions who can work against it.
So, Baron, as we were talking about, Dragon will be coming up in 1.5 minutes time. Just want to note that Jankos actually picking up that Frozen Mallet, so good chunk of health and a bit of AD, and that's
Frozen Mallet.
Just slow really to maybe be chasing down the last final members of Alliance who try to escape from them. Looks like ROC may be setting up first of all for that Dragon, and then going to move straight over towards Baron. You can see already the ward coverage that they have on the top side of the map. Pink wards basically all around there, so that they keep full vision of that while they do that objective on the bottom side.
And Alliance in this mid lane don't really feel confident enough to just move straight into the Baron area, because if Rocket is waiting for them, they will lose the team fight, and they know it, so they're just staying very, very far back, trying to farm. You even see Froggen on this bottom lane here, being very careful. Just, okay, I'm going to move forward, I'm going to move back a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to take this wave and then back away, because I know there's a chance Rocket is nearby, and they are nearby, because they're moving in now.
That's a lot of people. That is a lot of people to go onto Froggen, and there we see the Sultan battery going to be used. Froggen is going to flash away, but he's not going to escape this one. He's going to fall down eventually. Jankos gets that, goes onto a rampage at 404, and they can loop around, do the Dragon, or maybe say, you know what, we've only got 25 seconds, we're going to go to Baron, or even they're pushing down this mid lane.
This is what they needed. Before, they couldn't actually push because there was wave on the side of Alliance and they didn't feel confident enough to dive. But now with Froggen being dead, they just push straight into this mid lane.
And they actually finished this one off. Wicked did take that top turret in the outer turret, sorry, in the top lane. And look at ROC, they're saying, we don't care, we won this one. Froggen's up for 20 seconds, tapped! getting caught out of position completely. Overpower blowing him into the rest of the team with his barrel, and that's going to be the first inning down. Fairly easy for ROC, and they can just back off, get themselves a Baron, and they're going to have that mid lane pressure now that they didn't have on their last split push endeavor.
And we saw Froggen down his bottom lane here. Before he actually died, he moved back and forth. Didn't really know, can I actually go and take this wave, or will Rocket just come and kill me? They're not done yet, going for Wicked now.
No, Wicked actually will be able to get away just before he gets stunned. You can see one more auto attack would have done that one. There's a blue buff for the taking as well, keeping everything they can away from Alliance. But Froggen is now back on the map, and he's already in this mid lane. Xaxus is at half HP. Vanda's not super healthy. They don't have tabs there, but can Alliance hold them away from this Baron long enough? Wicked going to be focused down. He's going to be finished off here, surely, and that's the tank gone for Alliance. I can't see how they can compete now for this. They're going to have to go for a steal, but look at that. Overpower diving over the backside. He's going to keep Shook moved away from the backside, and possibly the steal as well, as a Baron down to 3k HP. Froggen is there on the side. Vanda falling decently low, but they dive towards Froggen. Can they finish him? He ults onto Jankos at the back. Vanda will kill off Froggen, and they do finally get Jankos. Baron is still up, still doing damage, and the smite, as you rightly say, is gone now for Roccat. Will that force them away? It will. It's enough to force Rocket off the Baron.
So Alliance sacrificed everything on trying to kill Jankos, so the smite was gone, and Rocket had to back away from the Baron. Didn't want to risk Shook stealing it. Now they are so far ahead already. We're just going to see the replay once again. Overpower actually on the other side of the Baron because he tried to force Shook away. He just moved around. And now Froggen here with full focus on Jankos. He's the target they want to kill. Overpower tried to shoot them away to finish off the Baron, but it wasn't in time. It gets the knock-up onto Jankos from Froggen. Kills him. Now the smite is gone, and they have to back away because Shook is still nearby. Also landed a Q onto Overpower, so could jump in and try and smite the Baron if Rocket stayed on it.
I think in the grand scheme, a wise decision from Roccat to actually back away. And we see that the pink ward's now being cleared out by Nif as well, but it's a 10,600 gold lead for Roccat, and those super minions have to be dealt with there as well. You see that Tabs has already backed away to be pushing those out along with Nif. And Alliance going to go back to getting as much farm as they can here from their own jungle, including this red buff.
They need to run to Baron
Froggen now.
They have to go up towards Baron because Rocket is already moving up, clearing the wards. Very good sweep lanes by Vander just outside the pit to spot this sneaky ward here from Alliance they placed. Now clearing everything they can. There's still a ward left.
No.
Still one ward left, so Alliance will be able to see if they actually started. Unless they move into the pit and try and bait it, and Alliance think they're on it.
They certainly could do, but they can see here in full vision that Roccat have set up that bit of a trap. And Alliance need to be so very careful of this one. They know that Roccat have moved forward a little bit. There's the vision of them just creeping around. So this corner brush is such an obvious target, while Overpower stands on the trap itself, which will be even more obvious to them now that this has started off. But there is the start of the Baron. It's going to go down to half very quickly. Wicked is going to TP to that pesky wall that caused them problems before, flashing straight away. But can they now hold them off? Are Alliance going to still challenge for this one? They have to. I mean, they lose this one, they're pretty much going to lose out on the game as a whole. They're still getting these wards down. Finally swept away. Double sweeping lens just to be sure there from Roccat. They start off the Baron again.
Starting in, Overpower staying outside of the Baron pit to try and poke Alliance if they move in towards them. Shuken coming in with the ward. Same deal as before here. And actually going straight for Shuk. Want to try and take him down.
Oh, they're going to try and stun him out here. There is the stun, and they're going to dive towards Shuk. Double kill low for Froggen, and the Baron is still alive here. This is a disaster for Roccat. What's going to happen? Xaxus gets himself popped there on his Bloodwell. Baron's still very low. There is Jankos bubbled up. Jankos goes Alliance out. Alliance get the Baron. Disaster strike for Roccat. They may even get ace here. Tabs and Nif now chasing after Vanda. It's a double already for Tabs. Vanda will get to safety, but Alliance have got half a minute to push up the mid.
I have absolutely no idea what Rocket was doing here. Vanda, he went out straight onto Shook, used everything by himself. Everyone else from Rocket just went on different targets. I really hope we're going to get a replay here, because Alliance now, they're definitely back in the game.
And they're going to take turrets like nobody's business, shredding through them. Wicked, tanky enough to just go in there and tank them up completely. The inhibitor surely will fall as well. Overpower and Celeber are going to be coming up in 7 seconds time, but Alliance say, we've held on long enough, we've stolen the Baron, and look at that mid lane. It's now in our favor because our inhib has really respawned as well.
So again, we're just gonna see the replay here. Notice Vander going for Shook by himself. Nobody else follows. Wicked goes into the Dragon Pit or into Baron Pit. There's no coordination from Rocket. Jankos stays jumping around. There's nothing here. Froggen kills 2 people by himself. Sazos jumped out to try and kill Shook, but why do you even care about the jungler at this moment when there's an Yasuo just killing your entire team? So there's so much focus from Rocket onto Shook, even though it wasn't even about stealing the Baron now. It was about actually a real team fight. There's so many free kills from Alliance. I mean, completely horrible team fight by Rocket, and might have just given everything over to Alliance.
And this is why Rocket was so insecure about doing things like this before. These are the kind of problems I think that gave them that insecurity where they said, we've got a massive lead, but we're scared of going too far. This time they bet everything on that Baron. And Shook, you have to say, played that absolutely brilliantly. Drew so much out of the back, almost went down, and then just safeguards off into the pit as well, using everything that he had. Did stay alive as well, got a heal coming out of Summoner from Tabs and also from Nif as well. And almost, I'd imagine, was laughing after that fight where they thought, I'm going to die at the back, guys. This is their Baron. Somehow survives it. Froggen just blowing them up for the double kill as well. And now you see that entire map belongs to Alliance. Bottom side completely I say completely watered out. There's 4 very close wards there. But Rocket, that's going to bring back some of these indecisive thoughts that they had in previous games, and I worry for them at this stage.
And they didn't even need the Baron. They were very far ahead. They already had mid inhibitor down, so that super minion spawning in. They could have gone back to the 4 people top lane, 1 person in the bottom lane, and just pushing in. And as you talked about, they would have now the pressure in the mid lane. So didn't actually need the Baron, yet they put so much focus onto it. Still, Alliance are behind in goal, and there's a lot of armor on the side of Rocket, so we might see Alliance just try and keep farming up a little bit and not necessarily just force a straight up team fight under the tower of Rocket, even though they have the Baron buff, because it's going to be hard for them to burst down a target with all this armor on the side of Rocket.
Do with a last whisper here and there. We obviously have one on the AD carry. Froggen might think about that, although he went for that Banshee's Veil as a bit more defense here. Especially, I mean, Banshee going to help things out when he's got to dive in there to get his ulti off, and the knock-up across him. Overpower then may have his ultimate blocked from that one that could possibly hinder that one. But look at Alliance, they've pushed up a bit on the bottom lane. Mid lane is going to be pushed on through. They're just going to switch straight across towards that top side of the map, get more wards in on the red side of Rockat's jungle, and surely then just push his top wave out so that Rockat are left with a decision of where do we defend.
They probably don't even have to defend anything at the moment, because Alliance, with Froggen down this red buff, there's only 4 members, and they're just looking to push out the waves and then move away, because Rocket can now move up to the top tower here, but Alliance, I mean, they know they can't really push it in, so they just back away. And they put pressure on the map simply to take everything in the jungle of Rocket and make Rocket think, okay, they're gonna group up 5, try and go for a tower here, we need to stay as a group in our base and just defend the tower. But Alliance, they kept Froggen by himself in their own jungle for the entire time of the Baron buff, so they never really were looking for any fights, just farm, farm, farm. Need more items. I mean, Taps again needs even more items before he can really melt through all the armor and then become very, very strong. You want Wicked as well to get a blade so he can start doing something against Sazos if they do end up in this one-on-one once again. So Alliance basically just been buying time with this Baron buff and giving them a lot of extra gold.
Have a look at some more items here. As we talked about armor before with the Randuins for the jungler, for the top laner, they've both now got Thorn Mails as well, which is going to be a harder nut to crack. Just want to quickly look how much exact armor. 286 on Zazas, 284 on Jankos. So a lot of armor to be working through there. So this game definitely not going to be over. This Baron buff probably going to be timed out, and Rockat, well, if it comes to another Baron, which it probably will here with 2 minutes until it spawns, they're going to be worrying so much about how they can safely do this one. But to be honest, despite that last fight, they're the ones that have been in control of this game up until now.
100%. It was all about this Baron here, and then some miscommunication by Rocket. Some members going to stop Shook, some members staying to team fight, and in the end they just split up and got destroyed by Alliance. Also in the Baron pit, it's very hard to move around, very easy for someone like Froggen to land a knock-up, hit multiple members with his ult, like we saw before. And Alliance still just waiting, buying time, keep farming. We even see some defensive items now on taps. And Nif, you're in trouble.
This is real bad, but there's a flash from Nif, and that might just get him away. Meanwhile, they go for Jankos. He will flash out of things. A tidal wave went through and hit 2 or 3 more men that were trying to chase in, but Nif can think himself a little bit lucky there, having to use the flash to get away. Tidal wave will be down, but there's Baron coming up in a minute. Vander trying to zone them out as well.
This opens up for Rocket to move into the Baron now, put down their own pink ward and clear everything Alliance actually put down before, because they forced Nif back and the rest of the Alliance members, so we do see them clear out the pink ward, can place their own, and now try and take control of this Dragon Pit once again, or Baron Pit once again, and then see if Alliance want to face check them. But Alliance did a very good job last time of not just running straight into the face. They kept moving in, poking a little bit. You had the scrying open Froggen as well. And that is one very important ward to just spot Rocket as well.
Look at that gold swing there. Rocket having a slow but steady lead that was building up until about 35 minutes in the game, where it's hitting around 10k. And all of a sudden that just disappears as they lose out on Baron the kills and everything in that mid lane. That inhibitor has respawned now though, so won't have super minions coming in. But look at the timer top left, 10 seconds until the Baron comes up. Rocket have already moved out here. What's the plan gonna be? They're gonna go for Tab. They're gonna try and lock down the AD carry with 2 men. Have they got enough to finish off? Froggen is there as well. Overpower goes into the mid. Tidal wave comes down. Zon uses pop. Froggen's gonna go down. There's the shutdown. That's truly the big kill that Rocket are looking for here. Xaxus is low. Wicked will probably finish him off. A Shook getting chased through. Celeber gets another one. Wicked did get the kill, so it's 2 for 1. But they've lost Froggen. They've lost Shook. Overpower's gonna completely zone Wicked away now. Nami's up the top side. Tabs will get a recall. He's gonna be the only one around there. This should be the Baron. TP coming in. You can't actually stop him TPing out, but he probably won't care either. Rocket gonna go for a Baron that I don't want to say 100% is theirs, but beyond anything ridiculous. Now it is, because Nif's gonna go as well. So there's no one there for Alliance. Rocket, with that team fight win, are gonna secure Baron.
Such a good engagement by Jankos. Look at the minimap. Alliance are completely out of position. Tap takes so much damage, forced to flash away here. Overpower joins in. He needs to use Outlast very early to dodge the wave, but then all the damage from Alliance now is pretty much gone, because Tap was forced out. He can only hit the closest target, and Froggen, he tried to kill Celeber, wasn't enough. He went down, and from there on the damage was gone from Alliance, and now Rocket could just clear it up with all the armor, but still trying to go one, and
Tab's completely out of position there. This happened the last time that Rocket pushed in on towards that inhibitor. There's 2 men down. Shook's gonna be coming up, but there's no AD carry for a minute. Rocket have a wave pushing at bottom. Top's gonna be slowly but surely pushing through as well. They should have Alliance down to just their base after this push.
Now there's no wave clear on the side of Alliance, so they should be able to take this tower as well and push it into the next one, because there's still 40 seconds on Taps. So we'll take it.
Yeah, barrel rolling through, too much zoning there from Rocket for Alliance to think about staying around, and they just simply back away. But will Rocket actually go now for this inhibitor turret with 30 seconds still until the AD carry comes up? Wind Wall will come in. That's a good little bubble onto Vander to give them a bit of damage, but as that Wind Wall goes down, you see Rocket move into this one. Nothing that Alliance can do to stop it. The second inhibitor of the game is for Rocket is going to be going down on the bottom side of the map. They can do exactly the same now up on the top side.
So with all the armor on the side of Rocket and so much physical damage on Alliance, Rocket actually looking very, very strong in the late game. I said in Champs like how Rocket might have issues late game with the damage because of the champions, because Gragas doesn't scale as well with AP as he used to do, but because they've been stacking so much armor, they've been doing well in these fights. And because they could catch Taps out of position, we have to say it, he was caught out of position in the mid lane. The rest of Alliance weren't even close to help him, so it was a big advantage from Rocket just as the fight started. And then they managed to take down Froggen afterwards and punish Taps once again in the mid lane, where they caught him out of position for the 2nd time in a row. And then took 2 inhibitors from it. So very good engages from Rocket. And as long as they can get to the squishy targets from Alliance, they will be able to actually force them out of the fight or take them down and then win the fight, even though they don't necessarily have too much burst damage themselves.
Feel a little bad for Tabs, because as that fight started and basically Jankos just beeline for him, he was actually pretty far back, but that's the advantage of Vi. You know, if you use your flash, your Vault Breaker, and then your ultimate to get in, you cover a lot of ground. Doesn't mean that you're necessarily safe. An Alliance who are just all over the place now, and look at it, they're moving straight towards the top side now.
And finally, Rocket also did the thing they didn't do against Gambit when they played Vi last week. follow Jankos. If he goes in, everyone follow. Like they flashed for Sasus, he flashed, jumped on to Taps as well. They knew, okay, Jankos is going in, we will follow him. They didn't do it last week when they played Vi, therefore they lost the team fights. This game around, they've been doing it every single time. When Jankos went in, the rest of the team followed instantly.
So one inhibitor remains here for Alliance. The super minions are going to be streaming in down the bottom lane. That's the lane that's going to be causing the most problems because they have to leave the furthest possible place to defend here on this top side of the map. We'll see if ROCAT can force them to send someone down there. They're going to have to. We can see that Tabs is already moving back to that one. Mid lane is also pushing in as well, and this should allow ROCAT to get in there and have a good go onto this turret. The super minions are already on the Nexus turrets. They're going to get one at least from this one. Alliance have sent Tabs back, but he can't stop it. There's actually, how many? 2 super minions in there. Tabs himself is actually taking a lot of damage from those super minions. Does finally clear most of those out and gets back to the top lane.
Alliance, they have to just go for an engage, try and win the fight, then go back to your own base and clear the super minions. Because every time they move back and forth to clear them, ROCAT will push in, get a few hits on the tower, and they can keep doing it over and over.
Wicked there taking some damage of his own. Tabs real far forward once again. Only needs a single ultimate to come out there from Overpower, and he'll find himself right in the middle of the team. And his Banshee's Veil not ready just yet. That's the thing that may save him going forward as the ball lands onto Xaxus. Cullen gonna come out. You need to get away from that as they do manage to dodge off to the sides. And we see that the super minions being pushed back at least to the steps of the base for now by Alliance.
You also see the traps being put down by Taps, so annoying to deal with when you want to move in and hit the tower. If your Banshee's not up and you're Selva and you step on a trap, it's the go signal for Alliance to just pile onto you and try and kill you.
And infantry spawned here in mid as well, so ROCAT just going to come straight across to this one, try and deal with it. It's Overpower took a little bit of damage there from Wicked. He's got that Blade of the Ruin King, but there's still super minions inside of the base itself, and that means the second Nexus turret is actually going to go down to half HP, which is a real problem here. Alliance holding on by just a thread in this match. Top lane is being pushed out by Overpower as well.
It's all about killing Selva at the moment. If they manage to get him down, a lot of the damage from ROCAT is gone, and you see them constantly trying to land with Bubble onto him, land the Hurricane from Froggen, just to get this engage going where they can kill him instantly and then win the team fight. If they don't get to Selva, he will be able to destroy them.
Can they do this? Can they hold on to it? That's the question. It's not just raining, it's pretty much pouring here from Alliance's side. Those super minions again will be coming in down the bottom. It is the last wave though, because that inhibitor did respawn. Mid inhib of course is already up, as well as Wicked. Gonna get caught out a little bit, but he is super tanky at this point. And ROCAT just looking again for that little chance where Alliance have maybe overcommitted on one side or the other. And in the end they decide, okay, let's back away. We've done enough damage for now. There's 1 minute and 15 till that next Baron comes up. They're all sat on over 1,200 gold. There's 1,800 gold even on some of them to spend. So gonna be on max build here.
And ROCAT played it very, very safe here. Every time Alliance sent someone back to clear the super minions, ROCAT didn't actually move in and try and take inhibitor or try and take a tower. They stayed back. Some Alliance now managed to hold off, got both inhibitors back now. Super minions will no longer be spawning. I feel like ROCAT maybe could have been a little bit more aggressive, but they didn't want to risk getting into a bad fight and lose the game here because they've been playing so well. So played it very, very safe. Now gives Alliance actually a second chance, because Baron is going to be up in 30 seconds, where Alliance can go up and try and force or try and be part of a team fight. And if they win it, take Baron and possibly the game here. So a second chance for Alliance. Even though they have super minions running into the base, and with all the armor on ROCAT, they could easily have tanked up the tower if they wanted to.
I actually saw Selva sell his Ghost Blade and pick up a Trinity Force here.
Yeah, it's not the best late game item, so it makes a lot of sense he actually wants to sell it.
Also on the other side, Zephyr was picked up by Tabs as he sold his boots, so he's on a full 6-item build now, and we can basically forget about the gold and the items, because everyone's right up there at this stage. It's all about positioning and how these next fights, or next fight probably, there's probably only going to be one of them. We're already 52 minutes almost into this game, and look, the Baron has now respawned in. It's been a hotly contested area of the map up until now, with Alliance managing that great fight earlier to steal one Baron away. ROCAT then picking up the kills to get this, well, it was the 3rd one of the game obviously. And now the 4th one has spawned in, and we'll see who's going to get the better of that one. I think Roccat, as you said, could have been a little bit more aggressive earlier on, but it's definitely about safety for them. You know, they've already had that scary moment once where they ended up losing the Baron and then their inhibitor in that mid lane. If you lose the Baron now, it's probably going to be your entire base and your Nexus.
Yeah, whoever loses the next team fight should also lose the game, because you're dead for such a long time. And it's actually Alliance pushing Rocket back here in their own side of the map. Very few wards around the Baron, however, no pink wards for any of the teams, so none of them can just try and sneak it with 1 or 2 members. Alliance actually pushing up here, getting some damage on the Sasus, forcing him to back away, but Wicked as well, take a lot of damage from Celavar.
A lot of damage, probably far too much, and there's the ulti coming in, they're going to go for it. Wicked has to flash away, Nif going to be bounced around as well. Froggen does get his ultis onto Overpower, and he just uses the Zhonya's, they lose Shook, Overpower's going to go low, he's back, is he going to survive it? There's a lot of damage following in on that one, but he has managed to live through. Tabs may be caught out as well, Vander, Celavar chasing in, Nif will be the easy target here though for Roccat, and only 2 men now left alive. They're too dangerous men for Alliance. Wicked's gonna TP back up to this one. Didn't fully heal, but it might actually be enough for him. Where are Roccat gonna go? We can see they're kind of wondering, do we go back?
No,
do we actually recall here? Alliance starting to push a little bit up middle. Roccat gonna come back into this one. Wicked takes another blast from Celavar, but they're playing around each other, trying to get back onto their own side. There is Froggen going in. Can he finish off Vander? It's Towson gets the kill, but Froggen will be hunted down. Wicked down in as well. Celavar down towards Towns, gets that one. Wicked's gonna go down as well. This is surely the game for Roccat.
Froggen, he jumps onto Vander, the support here. He didn't get Celavar. It's all about Celavar. In this last fight here for Alliance, they didn't get to him. He did all the damage, and with all the armor on the rest of the members, they could just tank up Alliance. Oh no, they're gonna finish the game.
They're gonna finish the game. Shook's gonna come up in 7, Nif in 15, but that's not gonna be anywhere near enough to stop this Roccat team blowing through their base. Jankos and Overpower can tank things up, and they're actually going to go for Shook here. It's going to put Jankos onto the fountain. Kick from Shook will get him probably back off to safety, but they don't care. They're going for the Nexus, and Roccat go 2-0 on the week. Alliance losing out once again, and what a victory. It was a hard-fought one. It took them 54 minutes. They lost a team fight, lost a Baron, lost an inhibitor, but held on in the end. Brilliant from Roccat.
And this very, very last team fight was so back and forth. It was all about getting to the squishy members. We even saw Overpower go in very aggressive, had to use the hourglass and managed to get away, recalled and returned into the fight. And Alliance, they stayed around, they wanted more. Lands a knock one to Vander, goes for it, and then Celavar just stays right next to him and just destroys the remaining members of Alliance and managed to win the game here. So both teams with some very, very close late game team fights. You have the one side with so much armor, you have the other side with 2 great scaling, carries into the late game, but they just couldn't deal with all the armor from Roccat, could tank it up, and they could never get to Celavar. Ever.
Both teams are now on bigger streaks than they were before. For Roccat, it's now a 5-game winning streak. For Alliance, though, it's a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah.
We talked earlier on about Fnatic maybe peaking at the right time. We may be looking at Alliance losing these games and struggling to find their form at exactly the wrong time of the season.
4.11 definitely didn't go well for them yet. Lost both games on it. Lost 2 games on 4.10. They talked about how the patch, we need to figure it out still. It doesn't really favor us yet. They have to go back and prepare for next week, because if they keep playing like they're doing now, they might make a Fnatic from last split and just lose 7-8 games in a row, and all of a sudden teams will overtake them in the standings.
Well, a brilliant win there for Roccat, and we're going to send things over to Shox, who's on stage with Overpower, for a closer look into that game.
Thank you very much, Joe. First off, again, congratulations, Overpower. Another fantastic victory for you guys coming in. Talk me through the game, and specifically through that huge focus you guys had on Baron, which brought Alliance totally back in the game when you lost that fight.
Well, what we did, it was basically we just picked a early composition that can take easy dragons, and I think that's what happened. They couldn't even fight us till like 40 minutes in the game. We were close to throwing the game, and it's really sad for us, but you know, like you have such stress that you want to make the Baron, like miscalls happened, and yeah, we somehow won the game and against Alliance.
Well, talk me through what we knew about you guys, that you were insecure, maybe finishing out games even when you were ahead. Then that Baron moment happened, and it's very close in the end. Did that influence the way you played that endgame push?
Yes, I think that some of us thought that we're going to lose this game now. But since they cannot throw it as well, we were like happy to take the game.
Well, it's very good to see you smiling, because you mentioned it yourself. You were quite sad a couple of weeks ago. What is the feeling like now on a 5-0 winning streak?
It feels great to be on 5-0, but it feels even better to win against SK in Alliance. It gives us hope for the World Championship, and I think we can make it now.
I think you can make it now. Well, congratulations on this one. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right, it's time for us to take a quick break, but when we come back, Gambit takes on the Super Hot Crew. We'll be back in 3.5.
There's a lot of Alliance fans, at least when I walked onto the stage. I don't know about you, but me and Neff got a good cheer.
No, I got no cheer.
Yeah. Wow.
Sad.
Wow.
No, they're intimidated by my muscles.
Nederlig bot.
Oh god, jokes. Free kill, they're finishing.
I got Lucian.
Lucian and Gragas in the back.
I hit the one. They're on me. I heal you.
Finish it. Ajax is still in the bed. Don't finish it, do not shoot reload.
I'm dead, I'm gonna die.
Kill the Y,
Get the Y. Finish Nash. I get the Atrox.
Go mid.
Beast wave, dude. Overpower goes into the mid. Tidal wave comes down. Zon uses pop. Frogger's gonna go down. There's the shutdown. That's truly the big kill. The ROC are looking for you. Can he finish up Banda? It's Townsend gets the kill, but Frogger will be hunted down. Wicked down in as well. Sullivan down towards Towns. Gets that one. Wicked's gonna go down as well.